Well, we've taken about 17 super tankers worth of piss out of the industry of late. No apologies, mind you. Solid console sales aside, when it comes to software, publishers couldn't sell insulin on an island full of movie bobs. But don't start the snarkathon just yet, Rageaholics, because particularly on PC, there's no shortage of boner fuel on the horizon. So what I'd like to do today, as it's a question I'm hit with motherfucking constantly, is answer that immortal query. Hey, Razor, just what the piping fresh fuck are you looking forward to? Well, perk your ear and pucker your anus. We're going in fucking dry.
Did you think I'd forgotten you, insect?
As the long shadow of Looking Glass looms large, even over 20 years removed from their formative offerings, perhaps no single title falls prey to more half-assed hollow quotations of its ethos and art style than the cyberpunk stylings of System Shock, and with good goddamn reason. Whether it's the dystopian devil's knot of corporate intrigue, robots, and beaten bitches with a fucking pipe wrench, or the fact that it pioneered the very concept of the hybrid first-person action RPG, along with its ancestor Ultima Underworld, that is, System Shock remains that game I wish I worked on to every pimple-faced programmer the last 15 fucking years, easy. In the more recent past, is there any game being ripped off with greater regularity? From Dead Space to Alien Isolation, Routine, Soma, Solarix, and with zero apologies for this fucking pun, let us pray that a certain recent Arcane offering being reduced in price to as little as $15 in all of 4 fucking months bears tacit testament to the fact that it's been effectively fucking shit-canned. But what if I told you that quietly and with little fanfare, wading with measured self-assurance in the mire of monotony among the sea of its lesser clones, lay the formally announced sequel, System Shock 3. And while many of you are doubtless firing spittleflex at your monitor in abject bewilderment that anyone could not be aware of this fact, you'd be profoundly fucking surprised, folks. Virtually every time I mention System Shock 3's announced existence on Twitter in a live stream or otherwise, I'm met with repeated confused utterances of the phrase, "You mean that System Shock 1 remake?" Don't ask me why, don't ask me how. I gave up dissecting the dog shit cake craniums of modern gamerdom around the time a shitty shoots and ladders bedecked episode of The Walking Dead named The Last of Us won Game of the Century from every website under the yellow sun, and a few under a fucking red one. Now, what if I told you this very game was not only being developed by what is effectively Looking Glass Studios, the second Other Side Entertainment, but being produced by the father of both System Shock and Deus Ex, Warren fucking Spector. If that unbridled confluence of fuck yeah doesn't make your Jaded Johnson harder than a whale's tooth, my condolences on your quadriplegia. Even with a great big goose egg where concrete info about the game should be understandable, mind you, given that its development is a matter of months fucking old, the mere mention of a return to Citadel Station, along with jaw-dropping pre-production promo art for such, brand, and of course the talent alone assures this a spot in my most anticipated titles of the coming year. Next!
Listen to me. When the time comes, you gotta run and don't look back. This is over.
Rockstar pulled a curious little coup back in 2010 after a seismic smash hit. Rather than cash the fuck in on their Goliath of a Grand Theft Auto franchise, they wisely presented themselves with a unique challenge instead, to not only step out of their appointed genre and even time frame, but to do so while dangling about their necks the albatross of a mildly successful but ultimately disappointing PS2 and Xbox title known as Red Dead Revolver. When Sleeper Smash Red Dead Redemption arrived on store shelves, it did so by blowing the barn door off its fucking hinges. Now, that's not to say they didn't have help. Fuck tearing a page. They ripped the butt fucking binding out of a great big tome called Gun, to that point the apotheosis of the open world western, but that in no way diminishes what remains one of the immortal standouts of the 7th gen. Now, for further details, consult my shameless plug review of the title in question, but given the unqualified planet-crushing dominance of the game in question, we were and are awaiting news of a sequel with bated boner. And waiting, and waiting, and around the half-decade mark, still waiting for video game Godot, when at long last the silence was shattered. Red Dead Redemption 2 would happen! At some indeterminate fucking point in the future. Odd, I've never been fucking friend-zoned by a publisher before, but the teaser image appears to imply the possibility of playable characters aplenty. A logical decision after the protagonist trinity of Michael, Trevor, and Black Dude we played as fucking twice set the stratosphere afire. Consider the possibility of Rockstar's answer to the Magnificent Seven. Every character unique, every character playable, and to a man changeable on the fucking fly. It's probably a pipe dream, but fuck it! Delays be damned, fire this game at my face fucking yesterday. Next!
Can anyone hear me?
The year is 2084. If they told me what the world would become, I would not have believed them. My name is Daniel Lozetsky. I'm an observer.
A relatively recent entry in a game that will drop within the fucking month. After a procession of pinched out ports in recent years, Aspyr has begun to list almost imperceptibly toward legitimate video game publishing. Whether it be indie horror darling Layers of Fear or No Man's Sky clone Inner Space, brick by brick, wall by wall, they're proving the middle market has yet to fall. And when I beheld the broiling synthscapes of Cyberpunktopia on offer, I was sold from word fucking wham! And then Rutger Hauer opened his yap. Yeah, hacking into people's fears, humming a cyberpunk horror. I repeat, Rutger, the original replicant fucking Hauer, first person, cyberpunk, human revolutionary rolling hills of synth-laden broodery, and I repeat for a third and final time, Rutger Jingleheimer Hauer. You can drone on about the developer or publisher's preceding disappointments all you like, with this Danish demigod's dulcet voice box purring in my anxious ear holes. Even if this game is shit, it won't be shit. It launches in August, and so does my dick. Next!
Engaging target.
A BattleTech fan's existence in a post-FOSSA world has been an unremitting carousel of cock punches. Hey gang, here's Mech Assault. Sweet, hope it's as good as, and before you ask, it's not a sim, it's more narrow than CNN's worldview, and you'd see more strident adherence to established lore in a Star Fox fuck fic. Enjoy your shattered childhood, and one after another after an ass fuck another, culminating in the Twitch shooting shitfest known as Mech Warrior Online. After a goddamn decade of the mech genre getting jungled in the ass, who the fuck could blame the FOSSA faithful for abandoning ship? Enter harebrained schemes. Indie darlings with a mastery of the crowdfunding craft, their early successes with fellow FOSSA luminary Shadowrun elevated them to mavens of the middle market, accruing awards and accolades in outlandish proportions. Sure, Necropolis was a bit of a piss take, but when it was announced just over a year ago that none other than BattleTech creator Jordan Weissman would be shouldering development of a harebrained schemes produced turn-based BattleTech strategy PC game, we were all the fuck ears. With Mech Commander lead Mitch Gettleman and a font of new fucking faces, not to mention a refreshing perspective that eschewed kitchen sink game design for laser focus and reasonable development goals, the promise of this game was already incalculable. And so after months of subsisting on table scraps, donors were at long last treated to the very first beta build of BattleTech. And while they'll likely still do more tweaking than Luis Mensch on any given weeknight, even at this nascent stage, what we've seen is exceptional, capturing the very essence of vintage BattleTech and hopefully ushering in a long-awaited stompy robot resurgence. It drops at some nebulous point this holiday season, so butt fucking buy it. Next! In the context of modern hybrid gameplay precepts, the only title more formative or efficacious than the ageless cyberpunkery of System Shock is the ancestor of the open-world RPG, Ultima Underworld, a game also produced by Warren Spector and developed by Looking Glass, at that time operating under the functionally fucking retarded nomenclature of Blue Sky Productions, because what conveys peerless pioneering of game development like clouds and shit. Though I suppose if you put some chemtrails in that sky, you're within walking distance of Deus Goddamn X. Now I could ramble the fuck on ad astra about the magnificence of Ultima's first fully 3D installment, one that predates Wolfenstein 3D by the by, or the assloads of experimentation with concepts like emergent gameplay and non-Euclidean level design, but I can actually summarize its contemporary relevance with the following words. Elder Scrolls. You dig the shit out of Bethesda's Dragon Slaying sandbox pre-Skyrim or other the fuck wise? You can thank Ultima Underworld for the privilege. Fuck, the first 2 Elder Scrolls games stole everything right down to the goddamn cursor from the Underworld series. And considering I've stated on many occasions that the second game in the series, Daggerfall, remains the greatest RPG ever designed, you can understand my import when I say Ultima Underworld 1 and even the underrated 2 are not far the fuck behind. But here's a little known fact. While the post-failure fire sale immolated every IP in the Looking Glass library from System Shock to Thief, covertly, studio founder Paul Neurath quietly secured the rights to the Underworld IP, all to his lonesome. The catch, Electronic Arts still very much owns the Ultima IP as part of their acquisition of a little thing you may have heard of, called Origin, a license they're using to mammoth effect at present as something to name the uncontested punchline of all PC gaming services. Year after year, he'd approach EA with a pitch for an Underworld reboot, and year after year, they'd screen his fucking calls. Cue the Kickstarter. After EA relented, allowing the Underworld IP to endure, provided it part with the Ultima byline, Neurath effectively reopened Looking Glass Studios under the thematically titled Other Side Entertainment, and just take a wild guess what their first project will be.
A lot of modern adventure games have gone in the direction of really trying to script tighter and tighter moments so that everything is very carefully crafted. And that's great, but it's not what we first came to love in our pen and paper RPGs, where we'd sit around the table and we just kind of improvise with our DM.
So why bring Underworld back now? Well, it so happens that Underworld and Underworld 2, the publisher put them in the deepest vault, and they were gone for a generation. But only now we're able to find a way to bring it back out as an indie studio, as Other Side.
Crowdfunding gives us the opportunity to bring this kind of game back.
We can take creative risks that the big publishers wouldn't be comfortable doing.
To move the state of the craft forward.
We're not afraid to experiment. We did it at Looking Glass, we're going to do it again at Other Side.
But it hasn't been all sunshine and jasmine-scented farts. This is their first crowd-funded rodeo, and so they made the odd misstep. The most massive of which was, I believe, showing the game at the fucking Zygote stage, leading a retard roundtable that still regularly read IGN to presume it'll fucking suck. The catch they effectively fucking ignored, however, the game was all of 5 months old at that point. That they even had a playable prototype was just this side of miraculous, and a testament to the developmental acumen of the talent arrayed at Other Side. Since then, a playable pre-alpha build with infinitely more polish has found its way into players' hands with a spectacular spellcrafting system, in-engine physics, and emergent solutions aplenty. Even at this early juncture, Underworld Ascendant looks like the previous games on PCP. I can't wait for my box copy, and neither the fuck should you. That does it for my top 5 anticipated titles, Rageaholics. The next time a Knuckle Dragon short bus aficionado asserts my acerbic nature as proof I, quote, hate everything, don't hesitate to plow this video into their fucking poop, or I'm Razor Fist God fucking Speed.